Welcome to Evolving Ideas. I'm Elaine Smitha. Ilis has brought to us several years of crop circle knowledge, and each year my audience is very excited about her information. We've already done one show, but we just simply could not get it all in, so she's back again to do a follow-up. But this one's going to be a little different because she's going back several years. It's a potpourri and kind of a survey of some anomalous things that have happened in certain areas, and it's going to be very fun. So join me in welcoming Ilis.
Welcome.
Welcome to my show. Welcome again.
To your show.
You were telling me a little bit about the German formation that had some plates that were recognized by what the magnet is?
By a metal detector.
Metal detector.
It was a very large formation that arrived in Germany, in Grosdorf.
And this was in 1995?
91.
Oh, 1991.
91. And it's quite an extraordinary formation. It's very, in my opinion, if we, let's see, you
yes,
hold them
I
up
need
here
to
and
do
we'll
this.
get the...
Right.
There's 13 segments in it.
Is this, this is the one right here,
right?
Okay.
And what you're seeing as an inset in that photograph on the top right there is one of the plates. It's a gold plate that was found underneath these, with the rings, the semi-rings around them. Each of these plates, each of these circles rather, had a plate underneath it.
Interesting.
One was gold, one was silver, and one was bronze. They were about 12 inches in diameter, about an inch thick, and weighed, the gold one was about 10 pounds.
Wow.
And if you look closely here, you'll see that this pattern is embossed on the plate. Slight variation,
see that.
But it's raised. When he took these plates from the ground, after discovering them, getting the return with the metal detector, they were encrusted with mud. They were down 10 to 18 inches with the metal detector. And they were just packed with mud. So he had to take them home and get them cleaned up. And when he did, this is what he found. 3 plates.
Wow.
They were assayed in Germany.
Fascinating.
The gold was 99.9 pure gold. The silver was very high quality pure silver. And the bronze was a high quality mixture of the different metals.
Well, you'll never get pure gold. It's not possible. There's always some alloys that are mixed in with it.
And this is as close as to pure as they've seen on the earth.
99.9% pure, right? Like ivory soap?
Like ivory soap. And the first 3 symbols here are the first 3 symbols that spoke to me, and that's the pendant that I'm wearing tonight.
Oh, yes.
It's the first 3 after...
These 3.
Yes. I imagine this as a complete thought within the hands. And if this symbol is creator,
yes,
this is creation, separate from but within the energies of creator.
Interesting.
Okay, so this might be is. Then this is becoming complete, returning to creator. And it's the pulsing of the universe. Creator sends out, the consciousnesses explore and return, and creator knows self, and then it pulses again. This is the pulse of the Big Bang. And then this, I understood later, was masculine and feminine going to unity. Again, creator establishing it on the 4 directions, the earth, air, fire, water, establishing it in the physical reality of earth. And this little symbol here, I feel, means that the energies are read this way. So it's a thought going that way.
Interesting. Boy, you really put a lot into this. Is this your own conjuring?
Yes, yes, totally. And somebody else would look at it and would have a different interpretation and a different appreciation of it.
Interesting, interesting.
I believe that the energies of the circles interact uniquely with each of our own electromagnetic fields. If 2 of us were to walk into a circle, I would receive frequencies and enhancements appropriate to my own vibration, vibratory rate, as you would, as everybody does. And so it would be extremely extraordinary, I would think, if we were to come out with the same identical paragraph.
Well, everybody's perception is different.
Absolutely. We each create our own realities. And this is what I've come up with this formation. I haven't heard anybody else interpret any of them. You know, it's a very personal and subjective. This is the only one that's spoken to me like that, and that's why I made this pendant of it.
That's wonderful, Ilis.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
So this is one of the formations that I received many requests for information on, additional information
And
on.
let's show the book, because
Yes.
this is available.
This is Michael Heseman's book, and Michael is a researcher from Germany. His cover is divided with the crop circles and UFOs, and the second half of the book is all UFOs. Michael believes that the formations are made by UFOs. I do not in these terms, and here he shows Billy Meyer's craft, a picture of one of Billy Meyer's craft.
Well, these books are pretty readily available most every
Yes,
place. So.
yes, or can be special ordered here if the bookstore doesn't happen
Great.
to have it.
Okay.
Another formation that I've received many requests about and much to do, and I just learned recently, in fact I learned within the last week, that there was another sand ring formation. This is the sand
You'll have to
rings-
tell this audience about the sand rings.
Right. In 1995, a young man and two lady friends were driving on vacation down the coast, down 101, from Washington State down to California. When they came it was about 10 miles south of Cannon Beach
In
in Oregon.
Oregon.
And Cannon Beach is up, say, if you go due west of Portland. It's right about there off of
Okay.
26, or the Sunset Highway. There's 10 miles south of there's a little beach called Hug Point.
Hug Point, like
H-U-G.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a promontory. And in this promontory is a cave. It's a natural cave. And the formation, the sand rings arrived about 50 feet from the cave, on the south side of the cave. The gentleman climbed down a path rather than taking the long way round. He climbed straight down the cliff, and at the base of the cliff he saw this. This was what he was supposed to do, and this
Okay.
is how he was called.
All right,
If you
let's
see the
if we
sand
can-
rings here, and the cave is back
Wait,
over
wait,
here, it's
wait,
kind of
wait,
dark.
wait.
Oh,
Just have to quickly get this in focus so that you can talk about this.
okay.
But there has been more than one of these. Is this what you're saying?
There was another one that a gal has recently told me about,
go.
which is even further south, and it's a bit of a haul, I
Okay, so
understand.
now talk about this.
So here are the sand rings themselves, and you can see the ripples here, and I counted about 33 of them. It's difficult to tell because it fades away in the center. The ocean is out here, and it is under the high tide line. The high tide comes in and goes out over it. So I believe that the formation itself was washed away, eroded away within 24, certainly within 48 hours.
Who took this picture?
This is David Jinks is the fellow, and Karen Svoboda is the name of the gal who actually shot this.
And they were the ones who found it?
Yes.
And
were
they
the
took it
only-
before the tide took it away?
Yes. I mean, it was just like that. They were
Fascinating.
just urged to get off the road and take a break, and this was here for them.
Isn't that awesome?
And it took him a long time to try to find out what to do with it and who to report it to. So it went via Greg Braden in New Mexico,
Oh,
and
really?
via Arizona, in Sharon Warren down there, and then it finally came up to Vancouver, to Chad Deepkin, all the crop
Fascinating.
circle researchers, and finally it made it to me.
Fascinating.
So I had this in my head, and incredibly, this is the next thing that I got, which was from a Russian UFO magazine cover. This is
Oh,
the Russian magazine cover.
Interesting. And there
And
we
here
have
you
it.
see the pattern again.
Yes.
The center with 22 concentric rings in snow. These are deciduous trees
Oh,
standing
for
here.
heaven's sake, in snow.
And this arrived in a Moscow apartment building backyard in 1990. And it is just about identical. Here there's a little grape shot. You can see one circle
I
here
can
and a
see
second
that.
circle here. In the snow rings here, there's also a second circle which is occluded by the trees. There's a little grape
Ah,
shot
yes.
sitting on the rim through here. And here it's within the circle.
Oh,
So
my
the exquisite identicalness almost of these. He shot them also from the third and the fifth floor. And I do have a couple of other pictures here. Unfortunately, most of these are black and whites because they're copies that folks send me.
Oh,
So
yes, well,
he
in
lived
the
up on the-
translation we lose a lot, don't we?
Now, I'll tell you the story that appeared with the article, and this is in his own words. This Russian
is a little
gentleman,
harder to
I had
see.
it translated. It is
Now
kinda
this
hard
is
to see.
from the Russian.
Yeah, here you can see this is where the circle is here,
Uh-huh.
and then this is higher up, looking,
Yes, you
looking
can
more
kinda
down.
see
You can
that.
see it.
Interesting.
So he was in wintertime. I guess it was about 5:30 in the evening. He was having tea, watching his nightly news. And all of a sudden, his attention was drawn to his kitchen window, where it was all of a sudden very bright out, like daylight. And he went and pushed the curtains back because he thought maybe it was a car or something. He wanted to see what it was. And there was this huge, what he said, ball of light or a circle of light, but it was inclined, and it had a hole in the middle. This is important for later.
Wow.
And it stayed there for a few seconds that he watched it. He ran into the hall to get his camera. By the time he came back, the ball of light, he said, but a moment and it was gone. Either it took off at a 45-degree angle and straight up, or it went around a corner. He wasn't sure what happened. In its stream, there were little balls of light, little tails to it.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I believe that what he saw, this first big ball, is what sent out these 3 sets of pairs of balls of lights, because this is how, I think we now learned how the formations are actually made, and they're made with balls of light, and they're made with 3 sets of 2 balls of light, a large one and a small one, each working in tandem. One set comes in and just sort of skims the pattern aerially, skims what's going to be the pattern aerially. The first set of lights sets the sound barrier. The second and third sets, as they come in, following the same pattern that the first lays, input the heat and the wind. Now, in the case of the snow, I'm not sure about the wind, but the patterns are very similar. You know, I'd love to see this so I have it clear in my head.
Really, but this reminds me of that tape footage that you had with the lights.
Exactly,
and
it's confirmation.
Can we? You brought that, right?
I brought the tape, but unfortunately something is wrong, and we're not going to be able to see it.
Oh.
We're not able to get it set up. Something
bad.
happened with the beginning of it.
Okay, well, you did have that. I remember we did show that on last year, or was it last year? I think we showed it.
Yes,
I think so.
It was in August 11th, 1996, is when that footage was shot. A lot of controversy about it, but now that we're getting more confirmation about other people who have seen it, the balls of light are valid. Yes, and they are toruses. These balls of light are not spheres.
I think for our viewers who don't understand what a torus is, you know, we need to tell them what that is. It's like a donut.
A torus is a donut-shaped energy
that folds in on itself.
Yes, it generates. It's an energy generator. It has a lot of power. A smoke ring from an exhaust of a motorcycle when it hit a barn left a dent in it. These are very powerful bursts, and
That's
just the way of the energy. Smoke rings, or well, donut shape is the easiest way to get it in your head.
I think donut
it's a good
shape
one with a small hole. So that was a set of balls of lights. The Oliver's Castle was a set of balls of lights, and I have another story now of the snail in 1992, the long formation. That was the first one that I was ever in. There were 2 brothers in that field, one at one end and one at the other. They saw the balls of light making that formation. One of the balls of light separated after the formation had been done and went over to the brother at the far end of the field, and he said, I know that it was scanning me, as though a dolphin were doing the sounding, the echolocating through the body with the sound. He said, I know that this is what the light was doing. There was just an instant communication and a tuning, and it knew who I was. Before I could react to it, it had turned and it went away, and it was gone.
Interesting.
So we know that the balls of light are active in doing this.
So what else do you have? You've got...
right.
You got
one
so
thing
much
that I'm fascinated by is looking at odds and ends magazines and finding the appropriate references to the crop circles. This is very similar to the torus formation that we received this year. And the torus, and this is the torus formation itself. You want to hold that up next to it here.
Okay, maybe, there we go.
Right.
Oops.
Okay. I don't have the color pictures here now. But the, if I can borrow this a second here.
So this is the torus shape. This is sort of defining it.
Right, exactly. The action of it, the energies of it, the intertwining coming off all over.
The unfolding and rotating.
And if you imagine this as a white hole, back here there'd be a black hole. So at one end of the torus of the donut, it would be white, and then the other end, the energies would go in and be sucked in.
So we've got the sucking in and the spewing out.
Yes. In this graphic here, the caption reads briefly, the cosmic mandala is one of a series on a temple wall which describes successively the spiral involution of energy into matter.
Interesting.
So this
is dealing with energy and matter.
Yes.
Interesting. Wow.
So this was a very nice, surprising. This was in a a mandala book that somebody had shared with me. And this one is the Barbary Castle Formation, which with ancient religious symbols, with the trinary, the Father, Son, Spirit essence. Actually, it's not Father, Son, Spirit, but it is masculine-feminine interaction. Masculine, feminine, birth to creation.
Oh, interesting. I like that one real well.
That's what that is. When you have the three. And three is the minimal energy that's required to manifest physically.
Well, it's the most stable form of all the geometric configurations.
Yes, the 3D ones. So this is very similar, as you can see, the inside here of the Barbary Castle with that particular pattern.
Interesting.
And this is Michael Green's work. Michael Green was the chairman of the CCCS UK.
You have to explain what that means. Center for
Crop Circle Studies in England.
You're so used to using all of these things, but you know we have an audience who is not quite up on it. That's why you're here to tell us about it.
I don't like. I know I've done several shows, and I don't remember which I've.
Well, not only that, but we always have a new audience, so you have to really go over it with them.
Okay, this is another graphic that just caught my breath when I was looking in Astronomy magazine. This was from December '95, Astronomy. What this shows is, if this is our sun, the yellow, and this little one inside of it, the core of it, is Epsilon Eridani. It's a lot smaller little sun. The area, the distance from our sun to our Earth, which is here, is this blue represents the water, where water is a liquid. It's not frozen because it's too far away, and it's not too close to the sun, so it's not a vapor. It's water, it's liquid water where it supports life. And this is the area around our sun. This is the area around Epsilon Eridani because it's smaller, and so of course the planets would have to be closer to it. The Earth is right here. And if you notice the shape here, the way that the shape is done, this is the formation that arrived in England in 1995.
Look at that.
It's extraordinary. It has a little spiral that came out of it here. This formation underwent 3 changes in the ground.
It did?
3 separate transmissions to augment it. This is the final one.
Interesting.
Where you see that the ring got very big. Here there were only 2. Here there were 4 now.
My.
This
and
got a lot thicker.
On the outside, yeah.
And the most interesting thing is this.
Here,
see, how do I have to hold that here? I don't know if you can see it. It's very, very fine, but there's a little spiral here, which is this dark spiral on the black and white, a little spiral here, and the ring, as it got enlarged, covers half of it. To me, this says that the Earth is moving out of the water zone on the Earth. It is outside, literally. The Earth, which is this planet represented here and here and here, is moving outside of the water zone because of what we're doing to our water here.
Ooh, that could be pretty dangerous.
It's deadly. It's life-terminating.
Yeah,
yes,
it is life-terminating because we are dependent upon water.
So this was in Astronomy magazine.
Interesting.
Yesterday, okay, this formation up here is the eye, and this was from 1994 in Alton Barnes. This is the formation as it was in the field. The following year, there was a ghost in the field in 1995. This is what it looked like after it had been harvested and tilled.
After it had been harvested and even tilled.
And tilled, yes. This bottom picture here shows, down here is the eye. That's this whole thing here, is just right here.
Yes.
And there are huge swirls. You can see the huge swirls through here. Yesterday, I was going through, again, Astronomy magazine.
Oh, yes, look at that. Oh, my God.
And here is a rendition, artist rendition, of these galaxies here. But it is exact. I mean, let's see if we can make this here so you can see. Let's see, where is that?
Let's
see that there?
We need to tip this down a little bit.
Just extraordinary of the organic energies.
This is not working
It's not
very
working.
well.
Okay, well,
No,
maybe we got to see it
a little tricky.
clearly enough. But the organic energies that are working with this.
Wow, interesting.
And this one I put in here simply because it's never been seen before.
Oh.
This is an old formation, and
When was
it was
this?
huge. I would think possibly in 91 or maybe even 90.
How come we never saw it before?
Because a young man claimed it as his own. This ring is about 800 feet in diameter, 800 feet, and it's a very thin, fine ring.
This says 92 on this side of this.
What, I don't know what's on that side. I haven't seen that.
Right here it says 92.
Does it say? Okay, that's what. That's when it was then, 92. Absolutely beautiful.
Yes,
and
spectacular.
exquisite geometry in it, pentagonal geometry. I just wanted to share it.
How did you manage to get this from this young man?
I have the original. I have copies of the aerials that George Wingfield took.
Oh,
And he was very happy to give them up because he felt that it was man-made by this person and it wasn't a real formation, so he wasn't interested in it. But when we started, Peter drew the black and white. Peter Sorensen.
Peter's so good. Well, Peter's been not on this particular show, but he was
He's been
here
here
and we
with
did
me.
tape him for a presentation with you.
And so he rendered that from the drawings, from the few that we had. And it's quite an extraordinary formation. And this one is from England. It's from the Western Daily Press from 1996. And people are asking me, well, how come we don't get these covered? How come the crop circles aren't covered? In England, many
You mean here in the States?
Here in the States.
Yes.
And also I get the question about in England, why isn't it covered? Well, it doesn't, they don't run for a week at a time, but you have to hit it on the right day. And indeed they do, and they oftentimes allot front page coverage with the banner on it, crop circle pictures inside.
Really?
They had exquisite pictures of the Taurus this year and some of the other ones, some of the more spectacular ones.
Well, some of this is really good for tourism too, isn't it? I mean, I would think they'd want to promote this. That's probably the reason.
For the B&Bs in those areas and the pubs in those areas.
Sure.
There are a lot of B&Bs, there aren't that many pubs. But yes, indeed, people are coming, and each year there are people who are deciding to take more tour groups, you know, in. And I too, I don't take my own groups, but I work with the groups that are there. I'm just not,
Well,
I like to be able to move around and to be free rather than to be locked
yes,
in.
when you're there, why you really want to get involved in that, and leading a tour would take you away from that.
But if any of your viewers would be interested in going to England, I can help them connect with the groups that
Good.
are going and be able to go into
well,
the
that's
formations
good news
with them.
to know.
These are some glyphs in Arizona, and they created quite a stir. They were found by an airlines pilot, and I understand that this is from at least 94 and that these glyphs existed before that. This is a basin, a reservoir of shallow water, maybe about 4 feet. This is a basin, and what the forest rangers said, or the park personnel said, is that they made these for the elk to drink out of so that they had water all year long.
Interesting. You mean they made the formations?
Well, I don't know what these are, and it's hard to know. It's a very toxic area from what I understand.
Oh,
And I'm not sure what kind of toxic, if it's chemical or nuclear or what.
wow.
But these glyphs were not made by forest rangers. Perhaps they did make this basin for the elk to drink out of, because once the typhoon, what do you call them, the heavy rains that they have there in the spring, in the fall, the rains come, and then it dries out. So they made this deep pool, this deep drinking cup for them. But these rest of these glyphs, here's an Aries type of glyph here with the ram's horns, and they're buttressed. I have, and this was
Point to that
appeared.
again.
Aries is right
Oh,
here.
yes, at the end,
Right at the
Okay.
end. And I'm not sure what that is about, but it's just, it created a big stir when it first hit the
So
web.
did the forest rangers say they didn't do this?
No, they maintained that they've been there the whole time and that they made them to drink, for the elks to drink out
That they
of.
did all these configurations?
I don't know if they knew
mean, are they
what
saying
we were
that?
talking about, or what, if the person who questioned them on it really knew
That
what they
seems
were.
rather bizarre.
It does.
I can't imagine that
It
they would
does.
do that. Go to any
I have-
length like that for the elks.
I have a feeling that they're very, very old. Here are two, again, astronomy. There's a lot of astronom. If you could pinch them like right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, and hold
Like
them up
that?
together. Yeah, that's the way
Okay,
the
I'll try to get this.
energies go. Yeah. This is Galaxy M51 here, and this is the monkey tail, what I call the monkey tail formation, simply because of this tail here, the way it comes down.
Oh, it
Just
sure
an
looks like a
exquisite.
galaxy, doesn't it?
Yes. just
Isn't
an
that
exquisite.
fascinating?
When I first, this is the first picture I ever shot from the air, the monkey tail here. When I first saw this on a print, there was a tone that was emitted from that placement of the satellite on that ring. And I heard that tone for 3 days, and then it drifted and I don't hear it anymore. It just faded and faded. I knew intuitively that if this ring satellite had been placed anywhere else on the ring, a different tone would have been emitted on it. But I only heard it for those 3 days. It took me 8 months of studying and getting back into sacred geometry. I realized that this is indeed the phi spiral. And then this is a symbol of a group of watchers, of helpers. This handle, or the hanger here, is their symbol.
Interesting. Interesting. Wow.
The correlations between astronomy and the formations,
Yes.
other than when they simply put the patterns, for example, they've had Cassiopeia. They've had the formation Cassiopeia. And that, as we're looking at it, the center of our galaxy is through Cassiopeia. It's the doorway to our galaxy. And they've also put the Seven Sisters, the Pleiades.
Mm-hmm.
That was unquestionable. But the thing is that they put them in mirror image, as though you're looking up from the center of the Earth onto the surface. So that these are reversed images when you're looking at them. I don't usually show a whole lot of U.S. formations, so I wanted to make sure that
Well, I
everybody
think
saw
it's good
the
for us to know that we've got
Chehalis.
some
We have
here.
many in the U.S., and again this year in '97 we received them from upstate New York, at least to upstate New Jersey, Marion, New York actually, upstate New Jersey, more in Logan, Utah. They started last year in Logan. These are from Chehalis, Washington. I didn't get into this one until it was harvested already because I was in England and I came back and it had been
This
harvested
was the
2 days
second
before.
formation.
Right. This is '94. We had the first 2.
Right.
And then these are the in '96 we had these.
96.
And also when we had those 94, there were 2 more in Adna. They were Celtic crosses with the four spot inside of 2 rings in alfalfa. Those are interesting too. The alfalfa
Interesting.
died on that. So this is very interesting in that each of these circles, except for the smallest one up there, is empty. They're rings actually. They're not circles. Here, there's a little circle you can see in each of them, and different parts of the circle are laid. So most of the crop is standing in this circle, a little bit less is standing here, and then more and more of the circle is laid until you get to here, where it's like a full moon, and all of it is laid. This head is a 6-pointed star, and an identical formation arrived in England across from Silbury Hill the same year. So they're carrying the
theme.
energies on 2 continents.
Interesting. Wow. So they're thematic and they're conscious of it.
Very much so. They know exactly what's going down where. Now, this is the other Chehalis
You think they
formation.
spend time, sort of configuring now, what should we do next year that'll startle them more? And then
I
they
wonder how
plan
long
all
it-
year to create all these geometric formations. And
I
then
wonder
they
how long it takes
come
them.
and zip them out, I mean, you can visualize that, can't you? Sitting over the drawing board trying to figure out what configurations they could do the next year. I mean, sort of Star Trek-like,
Quite possibly.
I mean, really,
Yeah.
because every year they get more complicated.
Yes. Yes, they do. And they hold more and more information.
And they might be saying, well, what message do we want to convey to them? I mean, we have Ilis down there, and she's pretty good at figuring this stuff out.
there are a lot of people who are working on these from just allowing the energies to
Sure.
intermix with you. And even if you can't always get it out in words, there's an energy that you can hold that you'll be guided to express in some way, even maybe not consciously. This one I found very interesting here. This is a Chehalis, and I'm going to deliberately hold it upside down for you because I want to show you one particular part of it. This part right here. This is an Ankh, okay, and it's crossed through its head, which is unusual, but here it is crossed at the neck, which is the more normal place. Well, it took a while, but then I received this piece of information here of an Ankh.
Oh, my.
And what this shows is that the Ankh has sliding resonators. This particular one has sliding resonators, so you move it according to the sound purpose, the
almost
purpose
like
for which you want to use the
tuning
sound.
fork or
Yes,
something.
exactly. Yes. And so the formation in Chehalis was crossed here, but it also came through the head here. I sat with my back against the point where the Ankh circle came together. And I felt like it was just pulling it out of my spine, pulling the energy out of my spine. I was exhausted in this formation. Usually I'm recharged. It was totally draining. It was a very hot day.
Do you think that it was more the straight lines, which tend to be more draining than the circular lines?
That's the formation, so you can see the whole thing.
I mean, because energy, if it's for textural, it's going around in circles. But when you have one that is more linear in form, it would tend to be more draining.
more directed and focused, that the energies would be, yeah.
Because it's not circulating
Yeah.
like it would in a vortextral configuration.
more intended. Yeah.
Well, it just shows the diversity of what they're able to do. Well, it says tuning fork. Boy, I got that without even reading that.
Good job. This I wanted to remind. This is the formation that the lights were caught making, and I would say I wouldn't even really say caught, because John Whaley was guided. And when the circle makers want you to pay attention to something, they'll ensure it. Even if you're sleeping, they'll wake you up.
They'll wake you
if
up
you're
and say,
supposed
"Take
to
a
be,
look," right?
Yes, and there will be some who will remain sleeping through it, and there will be those who wake up in the same group.
Isn't that interesting?
Just like this one, John got by himself, and he had 18 seconds of footage showing how these lights made the formation. The formation, 270 feet across from one end to the other, opens up in 8 seconds in front of the camera. This year, and this is from this year's calendar, this formation is the Milk Hill Formation from this year, and it's the grand finale of the year. It's a fractal. It's a Koch fractal.
Oh, this one is just spectacular.
KOCH. They saw the lights, a group of 8 or 9 Czechoslovakian folks who come over annually to England. They saw the lights that made this formation. They again described 3 sets of 2 lights, the first one with a sound, the second 2 without the sound. All of the lights following a path, going down and following the same path and then coming back.
Yes.
Woke her up as she was sleeping in her car. She woke up with a brilliant light in her face.
Wow, interesting.
Her name was Zora.
This one is really fascinating because you have the sharp angles and you have the rounded forms in it. So you're getting, you know, almost like the yin and the yang, the duality of the energies from the very sharp to the very rounded.
And if you notice here, you have a star, a 3-pointed
Yes, I see
star.
that.
And then if you notice this shape here, it's a 4-sided shape. If you take these shapes and you flip them over, that's what this is here. You have this 3-pointed, let's see, this isn't a very clear picture of it, but each of these is a star, the 3-tip star, and each of these projections is this 4-tip projection coming out the other way. And then, of course, with all the circles. There are 198 circles in this.
Gosh.
And it
Gorgeous.
arrived overnight. There are 3 at the end. 3 is completion.
You know, with all those little ones going around that formation, it's almost as if it's sparkling. Like, you know, I mean, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like little sparkles? Maybe we can have that viewed one more time. Let's get there. See, doesn't it look like it's just sparkling?
It does. And there was another one that arrived
I
earlier
like that one, Ilis.
that didn't have the center in it. It was the exact same formation that arrived at Silbury Hill, a Koch fractal, but it didn't have the center. It wasn't laid. And then their creativity is boundless.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
They're
what
working
makes
over the drawing board
absolutely
trying to figure out.
incredible.
I want to know whether those the other formation that mirrored this one, was it the same dimension? Did it cover the same amount of land? Oh, this is a little longer though. It's not exactly.
I don't know
the other.
exactly how many feet how many feet wide. I estimate about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full ones. That's at least 240 feet, estimating a moderate 40 feet per between the tram lines. Some of them are 60 feet.
So you don't know whether this matched the other one in distance?
No, I don't.
That'd be interesting to
No,
find
I
out.
don't. Let me see if I
I
can
mean, it really just
estimate
looks
here.
like it's
6
just sparkling.
tram lines. 1, 2, 3,
We have to count the
4.
lay lines. Is that how we
The
do
tram
this?
lines.
Tram
yeah,
lines.
Tram lines. Okay. So that's the second
You'll have
one.
to report to me on that.
On.
Whether or not they match in the distance.
Okay, I'll work on that, yeah. Peter, I think Peter would be able to know on his black and whites. He usually marks them down, so I'll check on that.
Good.
So we had the Russian with his ball of light story with the snow rings, and those snow rings arrived in Moscow on the Street of Freedom.
Oh,
Is
how
the name
fabulous.
of the street
Street
that
of
the
Freedom.
apartment
I
was
love
on.
it.
So we have that ball of light story, then we have the Oliver's Castle, and now we have the third one with the Milk Hill Formation.
Interesting. Now, what is this?
These are some photos taken with infrared photography, aerial infrared
Oh.
photography.
Is
And
this the night viewing camera kind of thing? I think
it
they take that with.
responds to heat,
Uh-huh.
okay?
Yeah,
And you
infrared,
can, he took these in the daytime. This
Uh-huh.
formation over here, this is the Telegraph Hill from 1995, and you see a lighter blue around it, and then the darker black, what looks like black on the television background. That area around the lighter blue, around the formation, is the water shift, the water table shift, because the heat takes the water out of the crop
Yes, dries
and
it
wilts
out.
it, takes it out instantly, and it's all gone, and the crop falls over and wilts, and then the wind tubes come and spiral the crop into their position. Well, if no more water would come to replace it, the crop would die.
Yes.
So there's a huge groundwater shift from the area around the formation. This formation was
Really?
very big, and this light blue here shows you how much that water shift is.
Really?
Yeah.
So after it does all this, then it brings the water back in?
Yes.
Ah!
Yes, to retain its viability.
Oh my gosh,
Here's
that's
another one down
astounding.
here. This is the Litchfield Formation, and you can see the red area around it and the dark, which delineates the rest of the field that hasn't been touched, that the water didn't come from. But the water comes in back into the plants, and that's why they sometimes stand up again, especially when the crop is like barley, where it's a very springy, healthy, virile crop. It comes back very quickly. Sometimes it'll be standing straight up again.
That's amazing.
Hardly
Is
any
this the
difference.
first time that this has been done, this kind of thing?
With the infrared, yes. This is the first
Wow,
time I've seen it.
that's
And this is Freddie
fascinating.
Silva's work. Freddie is over, I believe he's on the East Coast. So this is some very interesting method of
Fascinating.
exploration. And here, I don't think you'll be able to see this on the television. Let's see how that looks, if we can get that real tight. This is from California.
Really going to be a challenge. Let's try it.
Now, what did I say this was? Laguna Canyon.
Oh yeah, Laguna Canyon.
Right.
Let me get my finger
There's
out of the way.
an area over here, another area here, and then a set of rings over here.
Uh-huh.
There are arms coming off here. Now you can't see this very clearly, so if you flip it over, I'll show you the black and white here.
Oh, here?
Yeah, we hold it like that. So this is what that formation was. And again, there's about a 240-foot spread from the outside of one to the outside of the other here.
Interesting.
Each of these has a little, and one of them has there's a trident over here. There's three that go touching this particular circle. And all the other ones are symmetrical.
Fascinating.
Laguna Canyon. The area that this arrived in is a very sensitive ecological area. It was a wetlands, and they put the freeway in, and the people did not want the freeway in. Nevertheless, they put it in, and the formation arrived in the unfinished berm of the highway, because it's totally under construction. As you can see from the construction
Yes.
equipment here, and has nothing been paved yet or anything. It's just, and this arrived just in scrub grass on the side of it.
Fascinating.
Many people are doing independent reports from various aspects of whatever it is that tickles them and turns them on and draws them to the circles. This young man, John Martineau, is a brilliant mathematician.